The night was colder than usual. The wind carried the sound of thunder rolling across the dark sky, and rain poured down like the heavens had burst open. The streets were nearly empty except for a few people rushing to find shelter. Streetlights flickered in the distance and puddles rippled under every drop that hit them. Daniel pulled his old jacket tighter as he walked home from the night shift at the local workshop. His boots were soaked and his hands ached from a long day of work, but his thoughts were only on one thing: his little daughter, Lily. She would be waiting for him at home, probably half asleep on the couch with her favorite storybook in her hands. It had been 3 years since Daniel lost his wife in a car accident. Since then, life hadn't been kind to him. He worked 2 jobs, fixing cars during the day and helping out at a warehouse at night. Every dollar he earned went into rent, school fees, and making sure Lily never felt like she was missing anything, even though their life was simple and small. As Daniel turned the corner near the bus stop, he noticed something strange. Under the flickering streetlight sat a figure small and motionless, huddled on the wet bench. He slowed his steps, squinting through the curtain of rain. It was a girl, probably a teenager, wearing a thin, soaked hoodie and holding her knees close to her chest. Her long hair was plastered to her face and her shoulders trembled from the cold. For a moment, Daniel hesitated. It was late and he didn't want to seem intrusive, but then the father inside him spoke louder than his doubts. He couldn't just walk past someone in that condition, not in this weather. He stepped closer and said softly, "Hey, are you okay?" The girl didn't look up at first. She just shook her head slightly as if she wanted to disappear. Daniel tried again, a little louder this time. "You'll get sick sitting out here in the rain. Do you have somewhere to go?" Her voice came out weak and unsure. "No, I don't." Daniel stood silently for a second. He looked around, hoping to see someone nearby, maybe a friend of hers, maybe help, but the street was empty. The buses had stopped running an hour ago and the shops were all closed. It was just the 2 of them, standing in the rain. He sighed and removed his jacket, holding it out to her. "Here, take this. You need it more than I do." She looked up at him then, her eyes wide with hesitation. They were tired eyes, the kind that had seen more pain than a child her age should have. "I can't," she whispered. "Please," Daniel said gently. "It's just a jacket. You'll freeze out here." After a few seconds, she reached out with trembling hands and took it. "Thank you," she murmured. Daniel gave a small smile. "My place is just a few blocks from here. You can come and warm up, just until the rain stops." The girl hesitated again. Her body language was tense, like she didn't know whether to trust him. He could tell she was scared, maybe not just of the night, but of people in general. So he added softly, "I have a daughter. She's 8. You'll be safe there, I promise." That seemed to calm her a little. Slowly, she nodded. They walked together through the rain, Daniel keeping his umbrella tilted over her as best he could. She said nothing the entire way, only glancing at him from time to time as if trying to figure out whether he meant what he said. He didn't push her to talk. He just walked quietly beside her until they reached his small apartment building. The lights were still on inside when they entered. Lily ran up from the couch, her hair messy and her face lighting up when she saw her father. "Daddy, you're home." Daniel smiled and lifted her for a hug. "Yes, sweetheart. Sorry I'm late. I brought someone who needs a little help tonight, okay?" Lily looked over at the girl curiously. The teenager stood by the door, dripping wet, looking unsure if she should even come inside. "Hi," Lily said shyly. The girl managed a faint smile. "Hi." Daniel grabbed a towel from the bathroom and handed it to her. "Here, dry off. You can change into something warm. Lily, can you get one of my old shirts for her?" Lily nodded and hurried to Daniel's room, bringing back a big flannel shirt that nearly reached her knees. The girl muttered a soft, "Thank you," and went into the bathroom to change. When she came out, she looked a little less fragile. The shirt hung loosely on her and her hair was damp but clean. Daniel gestured to the small kitchen table. "Sit down. I'll make something warm." He opened a can of soup and heated it on the stove. The smell filled the air, simple tomato soup but comforting. When he placed the bowl in front of her, she stared at it for a long moment before whispering, "Thank you." "Really?" Daniel smiled. "You're welcome. Eat as much as you like." Lily sat beside her, curious but polite. "What's your name?" she asked. The girl hesitated. "Anna," she finally said. "My name's Anna." "That's a pretty name," Lily said brightly. "I'm Lily. Do you like stories?" Daddy reads me stories before bed. Anna's lips twitched into a tiny smile. I used to. Yeah. After dinner, Lily brought her favorite storybook and sat next to Anna on the couch. She started reading aloud in her small, excited voice. Daniel watched them from the kitchen as he cleaned the dishes. For a moment, the apartment felt whole, like there wasn't a stranger sitting in his living room, but another piece of something they'd lost and just found again. When the story ended, Lily yawned and leaned against Anna's shoulder. Within minutes, she was asleep. Anna looked at her and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. There was something deeply caring in the way she did it, something that told Daniel she'd known loss too. You can stay here tonight, Daniel said quietly. The couch isn't much, but it's warm and safe. Anna looked up, startled. I don't want to be trouble. You're not, he said. No one deserves to sleep out there in the cold. Tears welled in her eyes. She quickly looked away. Thank you, she whispered. Later that night, Daniel checked on them before going to bed. Lily was fast asleep in her room, and Anna was curled up on the couch under a blanket, still wearing his old shirt. The rain continued tapping against the windows, but inside it was peaceful. Daniel lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He couldn't stop wondering what had brought a young girl like her to the streets. Maybe she'd run away. Maybe something worse had happened. He didn't know, and he didn't want to judge. All he knew was that she needed help, and he couldn't ignore that. The next morning, Daniel woke to the sound of quiet humming from the kitchen. When he walked in, Anna was standing by the stove cooking eggs and toast. She looked up shyly. I hope it's okay. I wanted to do something to thank you. He smiled. You didn't have to, but thank you. Smells great. Lily came running out, rubbing her eyes. You made breakfast? She asked, excited. Anna nodded. I tried. They all sat together, sharing breakfast like a family that had known each other for years. Lily laughed at something silly Anna said, and even Daniel found himself laughing, a sound that had been missing from their mornings for too long. Over the next few days, Anna stayed with them. She helped Lily with homework, did the dishes, and always asked if she could help Daniel at the garage. She was quiet, polite, and grateful for even the smallest things. But there was still a sadness in her eyes that never quite went away. One night, as they were cleaning up after dinner, Daniel asked gently, Anna, do you have any family I can call? Someone who might be worried about you? Her face went pale. She looked down at the floor, fiddling with her hands. No, she said softly. No one. He wanted to ask more, but something in her tone told him not to. Instead, he nodded. Okay, you don't have to talk about it. Just know you're safe here, all right? Anna looked at him, and for the first time she smiled fully, a real smile that reached her eyes. Thank you, Daniel. I mean it. That night, after Lily went to bed, Daniel sat by the window watching the rain return. He thought about how strange life was, how it could bring a stranger into your home and somehow make everything feel right again. He didn't know who Anna really was or what she'd been through, but he knew one thing. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness could change a life forever, and though he didn't realize it yet, that rainy night would be remembered for years to come, not just as the night he helped a lost girl, but as the night that quietly began to change his own fate. Days turned into weeks, and Anna slowly became part of Daniel and Lily's small world. What started as a temporary shelter had quietly turned into something that felt like family. The apartment that once echoed with silence after Daniel's wife passed away now had laughter again. There was warmth in the rooms, a rhythm to their days, and for the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel so alone. Anna was careful at first. She moved gently, spoke softly, and always asked before touching anything. But over time, she began to relax. She would hum while washing dishes, braid Lily's hair before school, and even tease Daniel about his bad coffee-making skills. In the mornings, she helped Lily get ready for school. Daniel noticed how patient she was, never rushing the little girl, always tying her shoelaces with care. You'll make everyone jealous with those neat bows, Anna would say, and Lily would giggle proudly. When Daniel left for work, Anna always stood by the door to wave goodbye. Be safe, she would say. It was a small thing, but Daniel noticed. Nobody had said those words to him in a long time. Every evening when Daniel returned, the apartment smelled like home-cooked food. Anna had learned how to stretch their groceries, making simple meals taste like something special. "I hope you don't mind," she'd say, smiling shyly. "Cooking helps me forget things." Daniel never asked what those things were. He didn't want to push her. He knew that everyone carried something heavy inside, and sometimes the best help was to give them space. One night after dinner, Lily was showing Anna her school drawings. "This one's our family," she said proudly, holding up a paper with stick figures. "That's me, that's Daddy, and that's you." Anna looked at the drawing surprised. "Me?" she asked softly. "Yeah," Lily said, smiling. "You live with us, don't you? That means your family too." For a moment, Anna couldn't speak. She blinked a few times, trying to hold back tears. Daniel saw it, but he didn't say anything. He just smiled and said, "Looks like our family got bigger, huh?" Anna laughed quietly and nodded. "Yeah, it did." On weekends, Daniel took Lily to the park. Now Anna came along too. She'd sit on the bench, watching them play, cheering whenever Lily climbed the slide or kicked the ball far. Sometimes she joined in, and Daniel would see a glimpse of the young girl she might have been before life got hard. Carefree, smiling, full of light. Once, as they were walking home, Lily skipped ahead and Anna said softly, "You're a good father, you know." Daniel shook his head. "I just try my best." "That's more than most," she replied. "Lily's lucky." He glanced at her, noticing the sadness behind her words. "You didn't have that kind of luck, did you?" Anna looked away. "No," she said simply. "Not really." He didn't press further. He didn't need to. Sometimes silence said more than questions ever could. A few days later, Daniel came home earlier than usual. He opened the door and heard laughter coming from the kitchen. Lily was sitting on the counter and Anna was teaching her how to make pancakes. There was flour on both their faces and the room was filled with the smell of burnt sugar and joy. "Hey," Daniel said, pretending to look shocked. "Who allowed all this chaos?" Lily giggled. "We're chefs now. You can't stop us." Anna laughed, holding up the frying pan. "You better eat what we made before we burn the rest." That evening, the three of them sat together, eating lumpy pancakes that tasted sweeter than anything Daniel had eaten in years. It wasn't about the food, it was about what it meant. Togetherness. Belonging. Later that night, when Lily was asleep, Daniel found Anna sitting on the balcony, looking at the city lights. She was quiet, lost in thought. He sat beside her without saying anything. After a while, she whispered, "You know, I used to dream about this." "About what?" he asked. "Normal things," she said softly. "Dinner with family, laughter, feeling safe." She looked at him and smiled faintly. "You and Lily gave me that." Daniel didn't know what to say. His heart felt heavy and warm at the same time. "You deserve it, Anna," he said finally. "Everyone deserves a little peace." But peace, he would soon learn, was fragile. A few days later, Daniel's coworker stopped by the apartment to drop off some tools. When he saw Anna, he raised an eyebrow. "Didn't know you had company these days," he said with a grin. Daniel smiled awkwardly. "She's just helping out for a while." The man nodded, still curious. "Be careful, buddy. People don't always show who they are, especially the quiet ones." Daniel forced a polite laugh but didn't reply. After the man left, he noticed Anna standing by the hallway, her face pale. "Is something wrong?" he asked. She shook her head quickly. "No, it's fine." But her hands trembled slightly as she went back to folding laundry. That night, Daniel lay awake thinking about her. She was kind, gentle, and responsible, but there was always a shadow behind her eyes, like she was running from something she couldn't talk about. The next morning, he found her sitting by the kitchen table, staring at a small piece of paper. When he asked what it was, she quickly folded it and tucked it into her pocket. "Just something I need to remember," she said softly. Daniel didn't ask again. He respected her privacy, even though curiosity tugged at him. As weeks passed, their little family rhythm continued. Anna helped Lily with her school project, painted old furniture, and fixed small things around the apartment. Sometimes Daniel caught her watching TV reports about missing people, her eyes filled with silent fear. He wondered if she had lost someone, or if she was the one who had been lost. One rainy evening, Lily got sick. She had a fever and Daniel panicked a little. He hated seeing his daughter unwell. Anna stepped in immediately, cooling her forehead with a wet cloth, making soup, and sitting by her side all night. "You should rest," Daniel told her. She shook her head. You've done enough for me. Let me do this." The next morning, Lily's fever broke. Daniel looked at Anna and said sincerely, "I don't know what I'd have done without you." Anna smiled tiredly. "Maybe I was meant to be here," she said quietly. Her words lingered with him long after she left the room. Spring slowly replaced winter, and the days grew brighter. Daniel noticed how naturally Anna fit into their lives. Neighbors started asking if she was his relative, and Lily introduced her as my big sister. Daniel didn't correct anyone. In a way, that's what she had become. One afternoon, Lily ran home from school with excitement. "Daddy, there's a school fair this weekend." "Can Anna come?" Anna hesitated. "I don't know." "Please?" Lily begged, tugging at her hand. "It won't be fun without you." Anna smiled softly. Okay, I'll come." At the fair, Daniel saw something he hadn't seen before. Anna laughing freely, playing games, eating cotton candy with Lily, and taking pictures at the photo booth. For the first time, she seemed like any other young girl enjoying life. But as the sun began to set, something changed. Anna froze when she saw a police officer walking through the crowd. Her face went pale, her hands clenched. Daniel noticed instantly. "Hey," he said quietly, stepping closer. "What's wrong?" She shook her head quickly. "Nothing. I just need a minute." She walked away toward the edge of the park. Daniel followed her after a few moments. She was standing behind a tree, breathing hard. "You okay?"
he asked gently. Tears glistened in her eyes.
"I'm sorry, Can we go home?" "Of course," he said softly. They left early. That night, Anna barely spoke. She sat by the window again, staring out into the darkness. Daniel wanted to ask, but something in her posture told him she wasn't ready. Later, as he passed the living room, he saw her whispering softly to herself. It wasn't clear what she was saying, but he caught a few words. "I wish I could tell them. I wish I could stay." Daniel stood quietly at the doorway, heart aching. Whoever she was, whatever she was hiding, she wasn't just a lost girl anymore. She was family now. He didn't know how long she'd stay or what the future held, but he made a silent promise that night. As long as she was under his roof, she would be safe. No one would hurt her. The next morning, Anna seemed more like herself again. She made breakfast, helped Lily get ready, and even joked about Daniel's messy hair. But deep down, Daniel could feel the storm brewing behind her smile. He didn't know that her past was already on its way to find her. And when it did, it would change everything he thought he knew about the quiet girl who had entered his life one rainy night. The weeks after the school fair passed quietly. The weather grew warmer, the days longer, and life in Daniel's small apartment followed a calm rhythm again. Anna seemed more at ease, though sometimes Daniel caught her staring at the window for long stretches, her eyes distant, her mind somewhere else. Lily loved her more than ever. Every day after school she would run inside shouting, "Anna, guess what happened today?" And Anna would always listen, no matter how small the story was. They drew pictures, baked cookies, and built tiny paper houses together. Sometimes Daniel would come home tired, but seeing them laugh made all the exhaustion fade. He often thought how different the house felt now. It wasn't just walls and furniture anymore, it was alive. And though he still didn't know everything about Anna's past, he no longer needed to. She was kind, respectful, and loving toward Lily. That was enough for him. One evening after dinner, Daniel found Anna on the balcony again. The sky was painted orange and purple, and she was holding a small old pendant in her hand. He had noticed it before. A tiny silver locket she always wore but never opened. He leaned against the doorframe and said gently, "That looks important to you." She nodded, still looking at the horizon. "It was my mother's," she said softly. "It's all I have left from before." Daniel didn't ask what before meant. He just nodded. "It's beautiful." Anna turned the pendant in her fingers. "Sometimes I wonder if she's still looking for me," she whispered. Daniel felt a heaviness in his chest. "If she's anything like you, she never stopped." Anna looked at him, and for a brief moment her eyes shimmered with tears. "You always know the right thing to say," she said with a faint smile. He smiled back. "Not always, but I know when someone deserves to hear it." That night, after Lily went to sleep, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, thinking about what Anna had said. There was still so much he didn't know about her, where she came from, why she'd been alone, what she was afraid of. But every time he tried to ask, she closed up like a locked door. He decided he could live without the answers as long as she was as safe. But life, as he would soon learn, rarely gives people time to prepare for goodbye. It happened a few days later. Daniel woke early that morning to the smell of breakfast. Anna was already in the kitchen, flipping pancakes, humming a tune. She looked peaceful, maybe even happy. "Morning," he said, rubbing his eyes. "Morning," she said cheerfully. "I made your favorite. Hope you're hungry." Lily came running out, hair messy, shouting, "Pancakes!" and hugged Anna tightly. The sight made Daniel smile. For a moment, everything felt perfect. They ate together, talking about small things. Lily's art project, a funny customer at Daniel's garage, a movie they wanted to watch that weekend. It was just another ordinary morning, yet it would be one Daniel would remember for the rest of his life. Before he left for work, he noticed Anna staring out the window again, holding her pendant tightly. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just thinking," he smiled. "Don't think too hard. Save some brain power for dinner tonight." She laughed softly. "Deal." He waved goodbye, not knowing it would be the last time he saw her. When Daniel returned home that evening, the apartment was quiet. The lights were off and the smell of dinner was gone. "Anna," he called. "Lily?" Lily's voice came from her room. "Daddy, I'm here." He sighed in relief, walking toward her. "Hey, sweetheart, where's Anna?" Lily looked up from her drawing. She said she was going out for a walk. That was hours ago, Daniel frowned. Did she say where? Lily shook her head. No, she just said she had to do something important. Daniel waited for an hour, then another. The sky turned dark and rain began to fall outside. He called her name again, walked down the street, checked nearby shops and bus stops. Nothing. Her phone, an old one Daniel had given her, was on the table, turned off. When he came back home, Lily was waiting by the window, holding the little stuffed bear Anna had given her. "She's coming back, right, Daddy?" Daniel forced a smile, though his heart was sinking. "Of course, sweetheart. Maybe she went to see someone. She'll come back." But deep down, something didn't feel right. The next morning, she still hadn't returned. The couch was neatly made, her few clothes folded on top of it. On the kitchen table lay a small note, written in her careful handwriting. It said, "Thank you for giving me a home when I had none. You and Lily are the kindest people I've ever met. I'll never forget you. Please take care of her, Daniel. She's lucky to have a father like you. I have to go now, but I'll always remember the days we shared. Anna." Daniel read the note over and over, his chest tightening with every word. He sank into the chair, the paper trembling in his hands. Lily came into the room, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, what's that?" He didn't want her to see him upset, so he smiled faintly. "Just a note from Anna. Is she coming back?" He hesitated, then pulled Lily close. "I don't know, sweetheart. But wherever she is, I think she's okay." Lily started crying softly. "I miss her already." Daniel held her tightly. "Me too." The days that followed were heavy and silent. The apartment felt emptier than ever. The laughter was gone, the warmth faded. Daniel tried to stay strong for Lily, but every time he saw something that reminded him of Anna, the coffee mug she used, the scarf she left hanging by the door, his heart ached. He asked around the neighborhood if anyone had seen her. The shopkeeper near the bus stop said he saw a girl matching her description, heading toward the train station that night. Carrying only a small bag, Daniel went there himself, searching, but no one remembered her. It was as if she'd vanished into thin air. Weeks passed, then months. Life slowly went on. Daniel focused on work, on Lily's school, on keeping things steady. But at night, when the world was quiet, he'd sometimes find himself staring at the balcony where she used to sit. He'd wonder where she was, if she was safe, if she ever thought about them. Lily, too, missed her deeply. Sometimes she'd draw pictures of the three of them together and leave them on the coffee table, hoping Anna might see them if she ever came back. One evening, while putting Lily to bed, she asked in a small voice, "Daddy, why did Anna leave?" Daniel thought for a long moment. "Sometimes people have to go find something they lost," he said softly. "But it doesn't mean they stop caring about us. Do you think she'll come back?" He smiled sadly. "I hope so." After that, they stopped talking about her as often, but she was never forgotten. There were moments at the dinner table, in the park, during story time, when Daniel could almost hear her laughter echoing faintly in the room. One day, as Daniel cleaned the closet, he found the small pendant Anna had left behind. It must have fallen from her neck before she left. He opened it gently, something he'd never done before. Inside was a faded photo of a woman and a little girl, Anna, much younger, smiling beside someone who looked like her mother. On the back, a few words were written. "Come home soon." Daniel closed it carefully and held it in his palm for a long while. He whispered to himself, "Wherever you are, I hope you found your way home." Years passed. Lily grew taller, brighter, and stronger. She never forgot Anna, often talking about how kind she was, how she wished she could tell her about school, friends, and birthdays. Daniel sometimes thought about what would happen if Anna ever returned. Would she knock on their door again? Would she be happy? Would she still remember the little family that once gave her shelter? He didn't know, but in his heart he believed that she was out there somewhere, living the life she deserved. And maybe, just maybe, she would remember the small apartment that had once been her home, the laughter, the pancakes, and the love that asked for nothing in return. Life went on, as it always does. But some nights, when the rain fell just like it had that first night, Daniel would sit by the window and think about her. He'd imagine her under a different sky, smiling, free from fear. He'd whisper softly, "Be safe, Anna." And though she was gone, a small part of her always stayed with them, in the warmth of their home, in Lily's laughter, and in Daniel's quiet hope that kindness, no matter how brief, never truly disappears. Years passed quietly after Anna disappeared. Daniel tried to fill the empty space she had left behind, but no matter how hard he tried, a part of his heart remained with the girl he had once sheltered. Lily had grown taller, her laughter fuller, her questions sharper, but Anna's memory never faded. They still talked about her sometimes, sharing stories of the little things she had done that made their home brighter, her gentle way of brushing Lily's hair, the way she hummed in the kitchen, the quiet wisdom she sometimes shared with Daniel. Daniel thought he had moved on, or at least found a fragile peace. But one ordinary morning, the kind where sunlight streamed through the windows and the city hummed with its usual rhythm, everything changed. He was in the garage wiping his hands on a rag after finishing a repair, when the sound of a television from the small corner of the office caught his attention. He usually ignored the TV. He rarely had time to watch news. But something made him glance up. On the screen was a young woman standing beside a man in a sharp suit, both smiling at a crowd of cameras. The headline flashed in bold letters, "Billionaire's missing daughter found after 10 years. Daniel froze, the rag slipping from his hands. The woman on the screen looked familiar, shockingly familiar. His breath caught. He rubbed his eyes, thinking he was imagining it. But the moment he looked again, the face was unmistakable. It was Anna. The news anchor continued speaking, but Daniel barely listened. He saw her smile, her eyes lighting up as she hugged the man beside her. A man clearly wealthy, with a presence that made him stand out. Daniel felt his stomach drop. Missing, billionaire's daughter. All at once, 1,000 questions and emotions surged through him. He ran home, nearly tripping over the curb in his haste. Lily was at the table, finishing breakfast, her hair in pigtails, completely unaware of the storm brewing in her father's mind. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she asked, looking up at him. Daniel knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders gently. "Sit tight, Lily. I need to show you something." He turned on the living room TV. The same image was on the screen, Anna standing beside the billionaire, waving to reporters. Is that Anna?" he whispered. Lily gasped. "That's Anna?" Daniel nodded slowly, his mind racing. "Yes, that's her." The anchor began explaining the story. Anna, it seemed, had been kidnapped as a child and had disappeared without a trace. Her parents, among the wealthiest people in the country, had never stopped searching. After years of investigation, she had finally been found safe, alive, and well. The man standing beside her on the screen, the anchor said, was her father, Richard Hawthorne. Daniel felt as though the world had tilted beneath his feet. All these years he had no idea. The girl who had lived in his apartment, who had become part of their tiny family, was the missing daughter of one of the richest men in the country. He sank onto the couch, the TV still flickering. Lily climbed onto his lap, sensing the weight in his silence. "Daddy, what does this mean?" she asked softly. "It means," Daniel started, trying to find the words, "that Anna, she wasn't just any girl we helped, she belonged to a family who had been looking for her all this time." Lily's eyes grew wide. "She's rich?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Yes, sweetheart, very rich. But that's not what matters. She's safe. That's what matters." He couldn't stop thinking about her. The way she had laughed, the way she had cared for Lily, the way she had quietly made their lives brighter. And now, after all these years, she had a world he could never imagine. Luxury, protection, everything he couldn't provide. For the rest of the day, Daniel couldn't concentrate on work. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, smiling at Lily, brushing her hair, reading bedtime stories. He imagined how she must feel, suddenly reunited with her family, discovering wealth and comfort after years of uncertainty. That evening, as he walked Lily to the park, he realized something else. He had never truly known her story. He had been part of her life for only a short while, but he had given her something no money could buy: care, protection, and a small taste of what it meant to belong. The next morning, the story had gone viral. Newspapers, social media, and television programs were filled with Anna's picture, her story, and the astonishing reunion with her father. Daniel kept his phone close, afraid of missing any detail, any clue. And then, as if fate had been listening, there was a knock at the door. He opened it to find a driver in a crisp suit holding a small envelope. Daniel took it cautiously, noticing the seal, a simple silver design he didn't recognize. He opened it, and inside was a note written in neat handwriting. "Daniel, I never forgot what you did for me. You gave me safety, warmth, and kindness when I had nothing. I want to meet you and Lily properly. Come to the Hawthorne estate tomorrow at 10 a.m. Anna." Daniel stared at the note, his hands trembling. His heart raced with emotions he hadn't felt in years: excitement, disbelief, nervousness. Anna was reaching out. After all this time, she wanted to see them. Lily bounced up and down beside him. "Daddy, she wants to see us." "Can we go?" Daniel smiled, feeling a mixture of joy and apprehension. "Yes, Lily, we're going." The next morning, they arrived at the Hawthorne estate. It was more magnificent than anything Daniel had ever seen. An enormous house with manicured gardens, fountains, and marble pathways. But he didn't care about the grandeur. He cared only about seeing Anna again. As they walked through the front doors, a woman in a tailored suit approached, guiding them into a spacious sitting room. And then he saw her, Anna. She was older now, elegant, confident, but unmistakably the same girl he had taken in all those years ago. Her eyes widened when she saw him and Lily. She ran forward, enveloping them both in a hug. Daniel felt the tears prick his eyes. "Anna," he whispered. "I never forgot you," she said, her voice trembling. "I thought about you every single day." Lily clung to her, laughing and crying at the same time. "I missed you so much," she said. Anna hugged her tightly. "I missed you too, Lily, more than you can imagine." Daniel looked around, noticing her father standing quietly nearby, watching the reunion with a soft smile. He was tall, composed, and radiated authority, but Daniel sensed a deep love in his eyes. "Daniel," the man said warmly, extending his hand. "I'm Richard Hawthorne. I've heard a lot about you." Daniel shook his hand, still overwhelmed. "It's an honor, sir. You found her. She's safe now, and that's what matters." Richard nodded. "Yes, but I owe you more than I can ever say. You gave her something I could not. You gave her safety, kindness, and a sense of family when she needed it most. Thank you." Daniel felt a lump in his throat. I only did what anyone would have done." Anna smiled softly. "No, Daniel. Not everyone would have. You saved me. You and Lily made me feel like I could be myself again." For a moment, the three of them, Daniel, Lily, and Anna, sat together, holding hands, feeling the years of absence melt away. Daniel looked at her and realized something. The girl he had helped had grown into an extraordinary woman, not because of wealth, but because of resilience, gratitude, and kindness, values he had helped nurture without even knowing it. Richard broke the silence. "Anna has told me so much about you. You've given her hope in a world that often takes it away." Daniel smiled faintly. I only gave what little I had, but it seems she's giving back more than I could ever imagine. Anna leaned her head against his shoulder. I wanted you to know, Daniel, that everything you did mattered. You shaped a part of me that can never be erased. I'm alive today because of you. Tears blurred Daniel's vision. He had never expected recognition, never sought it. All he had wanted was to help a lost girl, to give her warmth and safety. And now, standing in this magnificent house, he realized the depth of the impact he had made. Not just in her life, but in his own. Over the next few hours, they walked through the estate. Anna showed them her room, the places she used to play, the gardens she loved as a child. Daniel felt a sense of awe, seeing the life she had been reunited with. But even amid the wealth and luxury, he noticed something beautiful. She still remembered him and Lily. She hadn't changed in heart, only in circumstance. As they sat in the garden, Anna turned to Daniel. I wanted you to meet my father because I want him to know the man who saved me, who gave me hope, who gave me family. And I want you and Lily to know something too. You are my family forever. Nothing can change that. Daniel looked at her, tears streaming freely now. Anna, I don't even know what to say. Say you're proud of me, she whispered. Say you're happy I'm safe. I am, Daniel said firmly. I'm proud. I'm happy. More than words can say. And at that moment, he realized something important. Life may take people away. It may surprise you with wealth, loss, or change, but the bonds formed through kindness, love, and compassion never truly fade. Anna was gone from his apartment years ago, but she had never left their hearts. And now, standing together, it felt like all the missing pieces had fallen into place. The sun was shining brighter than it had in years, and the gardens of the Hawthorne estate seemed to glow with life. Daniel and Lily had spent the morning exploring the grounds with Anna, who moved through the space with a mix of wonder and familiarity, as if parts of her childhood were tucked away here, waiting to be rediscovered. Daniel watched her laugh, tossing petals at Lily, and felt a deep sense of relief. After all the years of worry, uncertainty, and longing, Anna was finally safe, finally whole. Yet even amid the wealth and luxury surrounding them, he noticed something remarkable. Anna had not changed who she was. She was still the same girl who had huddled in his apartment on that rainy night years ago. Kind, gentle, and full of quiet courage. As they walked toward the estate's grand dining room, Richard Hawthorne caught up to them. Anna has told me a lot about you, he said to Daniel, his voice warm. But seeing it in person, I can't thank you enough. You gave her hope when the world had none to offer. Daniel shook his head, feeling both humbled and overwhelmed. I only did what I could. She was alone, and I couldn't ignore that. Richard smiled, a hint of admiration in his eyes. Not everyone would have acted the way you did. Not everyone could have given her the courage to trust again. That is priceless. Anna walked ahead, taking Lily's hand in hers. Come on, she said with a bright smile. I want you both to see something. They entered a large room filled with photographs, letters, and keepsakes from Anna's early childhood. Her father explained that after she had been found, he had been trying to gather everything from her past to help her reconnect with her own history. Anna turned to Daniel. I wanted you to see this because you were part of my life before all of this. You gave me safety, warmth, and the courage to believe that people could care about me. I owe you more than I could ever say. Daniel felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. Anna, you don't owe me anything. I did it because I had to. Because it was the right thing to do. She shook her head gently. No, you don't understand. If it weren't for you, I might not have made it. You saved me when no one else could. That matters. Lily looked up at Anna, her eyes wide. Anna, does this mean you're really a billionaire's daughter? Anna laughed softly, ruffling her hair. Yes, Lily, but that doesn't change anything. You're still my little sister in my heart. That will never change. Daniel felt a lump in his throat. All those nights worrying about her, wondering if she was safe, hoping she hadn't been hurt. Now it all made sense. And yet there was one question he couldn't keep inside. Anna, why did you leave that night? Why didn't you tell me? Anna's smile faltered for a moment. She took a deep breath and looked him in the eye. I couldn't explain it then. I had to find my family. I had no choice. I wanted to stay, but I had to go. I didn't want to leave, but it was necessary. Daniel nodded slowly, understanding more than he could put into words. I get it. I missed you. I missed you too, Anna said softly, her eyes glistening. Every day, they spent the afternoon sharing stories. Anna told them about the years after she disappeared, about the search her father had led, about the loneliness and fear she had endured. And Daniel, for the first time in years, felt a sense of closure. He realized that despite the pain of her leaving, he had given her a foundation, a small pie, care of love and safety that had carried her through everything. Richard watched quietly, seeing the bond that had formed between Daniel and Anna. He understood now that no amount of money could have replaced what Daniel had given her: trust, comfort, and kindness. Later, as the sun began to set, Anna led Daniel and Lily to a small balcony overlooking the gardens. The sky was painted in shades of pink and orange, and the air was warm with the promise of evening. "Thank you for everything," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You gave me a chance to believe in people again. You gave me a home, even if it was only for a little while. I will never forget that." Daniel swallowed hard. "You gave me just as much. You reminded me that kindness matters, that people can heal and grow. And Lily, you gave her a sister when she needed one." Lily hugged Anna tightly. "I love you, Anna," she said simply. "I love you too," Anna replied, hugging her back with all the warmth she had. Richard cleared his throat gently. "Anna wants you to know, Daniel, that she considers you and Lily her family. You're welcome in our lives whenever you want to be." Daniel felt a surge of gratitude. He had never expected anything like this. Not recognition, not wealth, not reward. Just knowing that he had mattered to someone as incredible as Anna was enough. The evening continued with laughter, stories, and shared memories. Anna and Lily played in the gardens while Daniel and Richard talked quietly nearby. Daniel realized that life had a way of surprising people in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes it was through hardship, sometimes through loss, but sometimes it came back full circle, bringing closure, gratitude, and love. As the night drew in, Anna took Daniel aside. "I want you to know something else," she said. "I have been given everything I could ever need materially, but the one thing that made all the difference to me wasn't money. It was you. It was Lily. It was your kindness. That's what made me believe in people again." Daniel felt tears fall freely. "Anna, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," she replied. "Just know that I'll always be grateful, and I'll always be here for you, just like you were here for me." For the first time in years, Daniel felt a weight lift from his chest. The uncertainty, the fear, the longing, they were all gone. In their place was a sense of peace and belonging that he hadn't felt since before life had grown hard. That night, as they left the estate and returned home, Daniel noticed Lily holding Anna's hand tightly. "I'm so happy," Lily said. "I have my sister back." Anna smiled and squeezed her hand. "And I have you," she said softly. Daniel looked at them both, his heart full. He realized that sometimes life doesn't follow the paths we expect. Sometimes the people we help, the small acts of kindness we give, come back to us in ways we could never imagine. Over the following weeks, Daniel, Lily, and Anna grew even closer. Anna visited regularly, and though she had the world at her fingertips, she chose to spend time with them. She helped Lily with school, cooked meals together, and shared stories from her new life, but never let the wealth or status separate her from the people who had given her so much when she had nothing. Richard often watched from a distance, seeing how Daniel had shaped Anna in ways no amount of money could. He understood now that family isn't always defined by blood or wealth. It's defined by love, trust, and the courage to care for someone who needs you. One quiet evening, as the three of them sat in Daniel's small apartment, Anna looked around and smiled. "This place, it will always feel like home to me," she said. Daniel felt a warmth spread through his chest. "And you will always have a home here," he said softly. Lily jumped up and hugged Anna again. "Forever and ever," she said. Anna laughed and hugged her back. "Forever and ever." Daniel watched them, tears in his eyes, and whispered a silent thank you to fate. He had given a little kindness to a lost girl one rainy night, and in return his life had been forever changed. Not by wealth, not by fame, not by chance, but by the power of human connection, trust, and the love that binds hearts together, even across years and distance. The story of Anna's return to her family became one of hope, inspiration, and the reminder that small acts of goodness can ripple through life in ways we never see coming. And for Daniel, the quiet single father who had simply done what he felt was right, it became proof that sometimes saving one person can save everyone involved, because love, care, and compassion are never wasted. Years later, Daniel would tell Lily and Anna stories of that rainy night, how a small act of kindness had changed everything, and every time he told it, he felt the same wonder he had felt the moment he first took Anna in. That one person, one choice, one act, could truly change a life forever. And in that realization, Daniel, Lily, and Anna found their hearts full, their lives intertwined, and their family complete.